And you started studying the scriptures, and you really got into it quite a bit in those days.
I never had any problems with Christ, but Christians were always a bit of a problem for me, and I used to avoid them if I could. I found them always to be completely disinterested culturally, politically. I found it very hard to relax with them. They seemed strange to me. I'm sure I was strange to them. And yet, through all of this, I met in school, I met some people who knew the scriptures. There was quite a moment there when people got very interested in the early church and the possibilities of imitating the early church. But Christians can be very judgmental, and particularly the way people look, the way they carry on. They tend to judge people by surface problems, sexual immorality. These things are the preoccupation historically of the church, whereas, you know, corporate greed or things like that will be never mentioned. I'm pretty sure that, you know, the universe operates by the laws of karma, essentially, and all physical laws do. And, you know, what you put out comes back against you, you know. Then enters the story of grace, which really is the story of Christ, and which turned this view of the universe upside down. And it's completely counterintuitive. I mean, very, very hard for human beings to grasp grace. We can actually grasp atonement, revenge, fairness, all of this we can grasp, but we don't grasp grace very well. I'm much more interested in grace because I'm really depending on it. So,
desperately needing it.
Yeah, if I'm living by karma, I'm in big trouble.
Waiting patiently for the Lord, incline and heard my cry. Lift me up out of the pit, out of the miry clay.
So I grew up very suspicious of Christians, but determined to know more about the life of Christ.
At some point, you decided, I think God is heading me toward a career in rock music, but you didn't want to cut off the faith stream that was important to you. Did you just live in the tension? How did you resolve that?
You're probably right. Lived in the tension. I always thought smack in the middle of a contradiction was a good place to be. There is, you know, duality is the mark of a lot of great art. And it's one of the things missing from a lot of, for instance, Christian art, because there's no tension. You have this great tradition of worship and music worship, which is, you know, awe-inspiring in the Christian churches. But music that expresses a personal journey and an attempt to wrestle truth to the ground, we don't see much of that come out of Christianity. There's a fear of duality. So one half, you have this part of us which is going, you know, yeah, I want to put this music, I want this music to do something positive in, you know, in a very negative world. But on the other hand, you know, you want to be honest and own up to your earthly desires and your confusions that everybody has. The key that great art has in common with Christianity is that, you know the truth, and the truth will set you free. I've held on to that very tightly. That's how I start my day as a writer. Because if I start on a lie, and a lie can be being the person that you like to be rather than the person you are. A lot of gospel music for me is lies, because they're people pretending that everything is great, and it doesn't ring true to other people. Now, I accept it's a step of faith. I understand why people, but I don't relate to that. I relate more to the blues. The blues is more like the Psalms of David, you know, where are you when I needed you? You know, call yourself God. I'm interested in that kind of music.